Welcome to Right On Replicas, where we're proud to bring you the best scale model kit reviews on the planet. This review covers the original release of the 1986 MPC Chevrolet Corvette Roadster. This was a 3-in-1 kit, number 6213, that included stock and custom parts, plus Indy 500 pace car parts and decals. It's long out of production, but it's still easily found at online auctions, etc. And it was released in other box arts and also as a 3-car set. This kit is 125 scale, and it was before skill levels were given, but I would rate it for intermediate builders. The kit has over 130 parts, molded in yellow, chrome, clear, and clear red. You get 2 sets of vinyl tires and water slide decals, and even after 30 years they were still in good usable condition. Now the instruction sheet is the old fold-out design, but it's well written, and the kit builds straightforward with the motor, then the chassis, the interior, and the body. Detail is pretty nice for a kit of this age, and the fit and finish was good. Overall buildability for the car was quite nice, and the kit is a solid build. Its dimensions when finished are 7 inches long, 3 inches wide, and 2 inches high. Here are the kit's contents. You can see all the parts that came out of the box. Unlike some reviewers who would call this a open box review, I'm going to let you see all the parts in 10 seconds or less. We'll be using Model Master liquid cement for most of the build, but occasionally some super glue for strength or some white glue for clear parts. And also, please use the manufacturer's suggestions regarding safety to avoid any accidents when using any of the products that you see here. Construction starts with the motor. So I built the stock motor for the kit, so as you can see, the custom parts there are off to the right, and set those aside for this build. So assemble the block, the oil pan, intake, heads, timing cover, and water pump, and then paint the motor blue with an aluminum transmission. The belts are rubber colored with steel and black pulleys, and the exhaust and the fuel pump are steel, and those are installed now. The starter is black with a gold solenoid, and that's installed to the block, and the oil filter is orange and placed. Now the alternator and the power steering is aluminum. Assemble the belt and accessories and install that, and the distributor is black. Now assemble the fuel injection and install. Grab these parts from the kit and assemble the front suspension to the frame. Then assemble the rear suspension and attach that to the frame. Now assemble the radiator and put that into place, and paint the whole unit flat black. The drive shaft is painted steel and then installed with the motor in place, and then paint the hoses a rubber color and install those into place on the motor and the radiator. Now we'll work on the exhaust, and as mentioned before, I used the stock motor in build, so set the custom parts aside and then paint the exhaust steel with aluminum mufflers and a mix of gold and copper with aluminum for the catalytic converters. Now the fuel tank and the cross member are flat black. So install the fuel tank and then the exhaust and then the cross member into place. Now we'll work on the tires and wheels, and I use the stock tires, so as you can see, the customs marked there at the bottom are set aside and not used in this build. So assemble the hubs and the rim backs and paint them flat black with the outer ring aluminum. Install them into the tire, and using flat black paint the front rim, and then to highlight it and make it look more realistic. Now install the front rim, and note that the rims are directional, so to give the tires a worn look also, I like to press and roll the tread on a sheet of fine sandpaper, around 220 grit. So once your wheels have been assembled, place the front tires onto each of the axle pins and just kind of snap those into place there. And also the rear tires work the same way, just snap them onto their respective spindles. And once those two are in place, you can turn her over and you have a rolling chassis to build the rest of your model kit on as a stable base. Now we'll move on to the interior. So pull these parts out for the interior tub and paint them the interior color of your choice. In this case, I'm using flat black because that was the color of the pace car's interior. Install the seats and the shifter to the interior tub, and then on the dashboard, highlight the trim on the dash and the dials in the dash, and then install the dashboard into the slots provided on the interior. Collect all the parts used to make the body, and we're going to do some pre-assembly work now to make it easier to paint with a nice overall coverage. So install the fenders onto the hood as well as the hood hinges, and then install the front panel onto the car. So wet sand the whole body with fine, approximately 600 to 800 grit paper, wet dry paper, and then remove any blemishes and look for the mold lines. There's some easy ones to remove, but you'll see them. Then the rear fender tops are pretty strong, so clean those up nicely and get them ready for primer. So prime the car with a good quality product, spray it inside and out, and then look the body over again for blemishes, and then smooth out any of those or add any filler that you might need, and then wet sand the body once more, rinse it off, and let it air dry. So paint the car your choice of body colors, and in this case I used pace car yellow, and also the rear deck piece there, which is kind of the convertible boot area, that's painted a flat or semi-gloss black. So there's a rubber trim line around this car body that is black, and in order to paint that, I taped off the edges and then exposed the highlighted trim area, and I used what's called a Gundam marker to just kind of paint them, so to speak, with a marker. It has a fine point, and if you make a mistake, you can clean it off with the 91% alcohol. Moving to the decals for this kit, this Corvette has more decals than most, but it being the pace car, and I would suggest, once again, you use setting solutions to make sure that they stick and adhere to the contours of the kit, and plenty of warm water to put them into place, and then finally another coat of the fixatives for it and setting solutions. And then after they've dried overnight, you can clear coat your model to seal in the decals. So in order to give the window a nice clear crisp look, I dipped mine into a Future Floor, what's called Pledge floor care product now, and then let the excess wick off, and once it's dried you can apply your decal, and then it looks a lot better than just a standard out of the box window. The window in this kit mounts pretty easily. There's a snap tab, near the dash cowl, and then you can glue the upper tabs there by the headrests and put that into place at this time. Now we can install the interior tub. So start with the rear portion and note the red arrow there, then slide the interior under the tab in the rear and press the front of the interior in until the two tabs in the front snap into the holes in the front there. Then you see the two red arrows in that position. Now we can install the chassis by placing the chassis front first in, notice the red arrow there, and sliding it into place in the rear, and kind of pulling the sides out just a little bit, see the yellow arrows, to allow that to snap into place. Now gather these parts up and we'll move to the under hood area. Now paint the heater core black, the battery black, and the air duct black. Also assemble the air duct to the throttle body and install that to the motor. The AC accumulator is aluminum and attached to the heater core, and that's installed then. Now the battery is installed, and the brake booster is black and aluminum, and that's installed in place now. Now get out the marker lights for the front and paint the face there with a clear orange, transparent orange, and then install those, and then also the hood into place. I like to use a personalized license plate for my vehicles when I can, so I printed out my logo on some plain white paper and covered it up with some glossy tape and cut it to size. But you can also go to online places like acme.com license maker and create any custom plate that you want. So Now we're going to grab also the tail lights and the light bar lens and install them into place. So as expected, being a 3-in-1 kit, you're going to have some parts left over for use in future projects. So it includes an up top, but that's the beauty of the 3-in-1 kit. So there you have it. This is one of the MPC kits from the 80s, and they were not always the best quality, but this was one of the better ones. The motor was pretty well detailed and quite nice when done. The chassis was simple but straight, looks good, and the interior was accurate for the real car, and the dash was detailed properly. Overall, the body wasn't bad. It had a few mold lines, but nothing that some light sanding would fix, and the fit and finish overall was good, and the build was solid. Most of the Corvettes also from that era had hood fit problems, but this one slipped right into place, was not warped, and was a nice fit. Overall, it was a good build and a nice subject matter. Well, we hope you liked this step-by-step premium model kit review, and so that you don't miss any more, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. But you can always find us on Facebook and at our website, www.rightonreplicas.com. Thanks!